Wait, don't click away just yet. Before you do me a solid and comment down below why you're clicking away and what I could do differently to get you to stick around for just a little while. I just want to get better at YouTube. I want to make better videos for everyone that ends up here. So it would be a huge boon to me if you would just tell me what I could do differently and I could do better to get you to want to stick around. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And here's the second episode of my playthrough of Swordhaven: The Iron Conspiracy.
You board the ship bound for Nova Draconia, captained by veteran sea dog Vergon III. Your destination is Swordhaven. Gulls shriek and squawk overhead as the salt wind caresses your brow. A new life, new adventures. Whatever awaits, you're ready to face it.
Cool that it's voiced. Find your cabin.
The accommodations are modest, but livable. The flow of air from an open porthole keeps the space cool, and the hammock comes with a complimentary pillow. A grain sack stuffed with straw. There's even a table with writing implements, useful for updating your journal.
And I could probably do this because I have high intimidation, but I'm not going to. I can't play mean people. There's too many mean people in real life. Get to know the other
This is a merchant vessel, also Captain Vergon claims, so the passenger manifest is short. To be precise, there are 6, excluding yourself. Fiona, a young musician in search of adventure. Nostra, a fiery one-eyed warrior. Nicodemus, a renowned scholar. Jehema, a quick-witted southern sellsword. Gintar, a pious knight of the Empire. And finally, Xanfor, a kindly old man who mostly keeps to himself. Well, if there is magic in this game, I'm going to guess Xanfor is a wizard, because that is a wizardy freaking name. An adventurous bard from the faraway kingdom of Muir Orm, Fiona de Quinlan, is planning to strike it big in Nova Draconia's capital, Swordhaven. The idea had been stewing in her head for a long while, and recently she acquired the means to pay for the long voyage.
So this game, since it's called Swordhaven, that makes me think of Baldur's Gate 2. Baldur's Gate also, since that was there is the capital as well in that game.
You don't learn much about Nostra Urheim. She's reluctant to talk about herself, and enjoys hearing about other people's problems even less. The only thing you know for certain, maybe, is that she's from the southern prairies. Nicodemus Pinecone is a scholar from the land of Malvia. Since ancient times, the Malvian Peninsula has been the Empire's center of learning and home to the largest library in the land. It's no surprise, then, that Nicodemus is visiting Nova Draconia to conduct scientific research, or so he claims. Jimmerhor the Eel is a traveling sellsword from the faraway Cufadian archipelago. Gregarious and jovial, his speech is steeped in sentimentality and cynicism. It's hard to tell whether it's an affectation or his genuine nature.
So I know it's a smaller studio, and I'm sure it would be super hard to do this, and I wouldn't hold it against them if they couldn't do this at all. But it would be super helpful if these did things that I've mentioned before in some other games, where you can hover over things and it'll give you like the in-game lore for it. The most recent one I played on the channel that did that is Rogue Trader, but it's in like Pillars of Eternity and stuff too. I would love to be able to hover over Cufadian and get some details about what that is. All I know is it's some islands.
Gintar of Kuldinga is a knight from a landless noble family. He is deeply religious and often expresses his reverence for the divines, particularly the Empire's chief deity, the dragon. Gintar spends much of his time in meditation, and he claims he's traveling to Nova Draconia solely for spiritual reasons.
I have to assume it's intentional, and I don't know if it's because of my character build. Maybe if you have higher perception, you get like different intro. But it sure seems like the narrator is basically saying, well, this is what the character says they're doing, but are they really? For a few of these. So far it seems like we're not supposed to trust any of them.
Xanfor claims to be a low-ranking Imperial official. though he's well educated in subjects ranging from history to astronomy. When you've spent some time talking to the old man, he tells you you're full of untapped potential. Quite flattering.
Are we the chosen one? Guys, I think we might be the chosen.
The ship rocks gently upon the calm sea.
Well, I don't have the dex to do that. I don't have the mercantile skill to do that. Oh, that's cool. It shows you, man, the respect.
You stamp your foot and order the captain to show you the respect you deserve. The man keeps his eyes lowered during your tirade and soon gives in. From this day on, you will receive extra rations, as you very well should. The ship is a large trade carrack, built for stability on heavy seas, and big enough to carry a significant amount of cargo,
Yes, I
along
didn't
with
have the
provisions for extended voyages.
perception for that.
As the ship draws ever closer to your destination, you sometimes listen to the sailors' stories when they're off watch. They share all kinds of amusing anecdotes, from the commonplace to stories so outlandish they could only come from seafaring folk. Yet, whenever they speak of the weird comets above the Gulf of Swordhaven, or of warlocks practicing their craft in western Nova Draconia, Xanfor's face darkens. It seems he takes these topics very seriously. In the meantime, you...
I really like the narrator. I'm gonna guess Xanfor either is a warlock or a different mage kind of class whose goal is to stop them or maybe help them. I think it's interesting that there is magic in this universe, but you can't be magic. Okay, so my options are to help with the fishing, and none of these have skill checks, it doesn't look like. Help with the fishing, mend the nets, tend to the sick, and watch everyone else work. Well, if I was role-playing, since I'm a noble, I would do watch everyone else work. But I want to be a good guy, so I'm not going to do that. I don't think I have very high medicine, so I would probably make people sick. And I don't have very good craft. Like, isn't my crafting actually kind of okay, even though I didn't put points in it? We're still doing
Fishing on the open sea isn't as straight. A few days later, the vessel finally enters the stormy sea. True to its name, the dark waves slam relentlessly against the stern, causing the vessel to roll in a nauseating rhythm. The air is thick with the smell of salt and ozone as its heralds, the grim Malamuks, replace the cheerful seagulls to glide in eerie silence beneath the laden sky.
I will say Stormy Sea is quite the generic name. Okay, we can gaze out at the restless sea. We can find solace in the company of our fellow travelers. And we can lose our worries at the bottom of a bottle. I don't trust the other people based on their descriptions or the captain, so I'm not going to get drunk. I don't know that my character feels very pensive. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of personality either, but I'd rather do that.
Many stories are shared in the relative comfort of the lower decks in the few days following. During one such gathering, a cabin boy, pale as death's maiden aunt, rushes down the companionway screaming between sudden peals of thunder, "There's a storm upon us!"
If you play a lot of these games yourselves, just out of curiosity, I'm not doing it since I'm streaming it. Or I guess I'm not streaming, I'm recording. I'm streaming to OBS and it's recording. Semantics. Do you wait for the narrator? And if you do wait for the narrator, do you still read it? Or do you like look at something else so you can listen to the narrator and not know what he's going to say? Because I read it, and then when I'm playing myself, I'm like, okay, click next, and then the narrator will be up here on like the 5th word, and I'll already be done.
You are not alone. Several crewmen are rushing around on deck. The other passengers have also come up, some fearful, some amused by the capricious weather. Captain Vergen roars out, "You must be out of your blasted minds! Get back down that hatch before..." A flash of light and an ear-splitting boom cuts him short. The lightning bolt, the grandfather of all lightning bolts, strikes the main mast, leaving you blind and deaf.
Permanently or temporarily? That'd be wild if it was permanently. And then words of Luda, Stop, drop, kaboom! This is another one of those moments where I wonder if different builds have different responses here. Like, all I can do is be silent, but I wonder if you have really high endurance, maybe you're not blinded and deafened. Or if you have good outdoorsmanship, maybe you notice something.
You give your head a shake. As your vision returns, you see other passengers still covering their ears, while the crew races to furl a burning sail. A section of the mast lies on the deck, just a few feet away. There's someone beneath it. You stagger towards the poor soul and discover it's Xanfor, an elderly fellow you had spoken to during the voyage.
So he's under the mast? Like it fell on him?
As if bewitched, you fall to your knees beside the dying man. Xanfor fixes you with eyes watery from pain, and you lean closer to hear him over the storm. Take this, my friend. A bloody cough erupts from him as he produces something from his jacket, a mysterious amulet on a silver chain. Take it to Agranat the Enlightened in Swordhaven. I beg you. The fate of the world is at stake.
Those are
Can
some
it be
big
true?
stakes.
How can the fate of the whole world depend on a cheap bit of jewelry?
Hopefully they're cooked medium rare. But I had to decide between whether I wanted to go with like a meat steak joke or a vampire steak joke. But I mentioned vampires earlier, so how it goes. Tell him you'll do it.
Thank you. Xanfor's eyes roll back in his head, and his final breath escapes with a wheeze. You examine the amulet he gave you. It's a dark prism, within which a dim red light flickers. When you press your finger against one of its sides, the crimson glow seems to drift towards it, as if the object were alive and watching you.
So I think they want us to kind of feel like this is a good magic thing and he's a good magic dude, but it's a dark prism with a crimson glow, which to me does not seem very good and could definitely seem more evil.
Still puzzled and disturbed by the urgency in the dying man's voice, you gingerly rise to your feet. The other passengers are all there, along with the captain, who surveys the destruction with an unreadable expression. Take heed now, me hearties. 'Tis here we must bid each other farewell. This old ship's in bad shape, and the place I must go don't allow no passengers. You and the others exchange troubled glances. Fear not. The shore's but a stone's throw away. We finally reached Nova Draconia. Well, except for that poor fellow over yonder. He spares a glance for Xanfor's corpse. The village is close by. Name of Clamreach. You can find shelter there after you land.
Are we supposed to swim?
Captain Vergen shrugs off your objections, insisting that the ship won't make it to the capital in its current state, and the place where he's now headed is forbidden to outsiders. It seems you have little choice. Nova Draconia is reputed to be dangerous. You should arm yourself before stepping into the shore boat.
I wonder. I mean, this makes sense since I did a two-handed build. I wonder if they're always your grandfather's weapons or if they're like other weapons. You know, like take your grandmother's dagger or your sister's, cousin's, brother's, uncle's, ex-wife's crossbow.
The thunderstorm ended as abruptly as it began, the sky once more blue and blank as a new slate. And as the sun begins its rise in the east, for the first time you see land ahead. Nova Draconia. With a parting salute to the crew, you hop down into the boat where the rest of the passengers are already waiting, and take the oars in
If I can
hand.
use the numpad or not. Yeah, awesome. Some games don't let you do that. Always bothers me. Okay, so this doesn't remind me of Baldur's Gate 1, but it reminds me of, oh gosh, Baldur's Gate like 1.5 that Beamdog made. Siege of Dragonspear, right? I think that's what it is. Landing. After a rough landing, you and your fellow passengers meet the dawn, gathering wood, kindling a fire, and preparing something to eat from the scant sea rations providently brought along. Alright guys, that's going to do it for episode 2 of this playthrough. We've created a character, we've completed the intro, and I think in the next one we're actually going to get to gameplay. So stick around for episode 3 coming tomorrow. If you liked this, like, comment, and subscribe. It'd mean the world to me. Let me know what I can do better. Let me know what I could fix. Let me know if I'm doing something good too. You tell me what you want to see and I'll try to incorporate it. Thanks for your input. Stay frosty, stay awesome, be excellent to each other, and party on.